Hello adventurers! I know this video is about 3 weeks late and I am very sorry, but the time we have all been waiting for is finally upon us. In this video I'm going to show you my bike and all the upgrades that I've done to it. In my dictionary, an adventure motorcycle is one capable of doing a long distance with decent comfort and speed, without compromising its ability to be nimble, practical and sturdy for off-road use. But as we all know, this is the typical catch-22, because the better a motorcycle is on the road, usually the worse it is off-road, mostly because of the weight. Striking this perfect balance between comfort on the road and ability to be practical off-road, it's like chasing the rarest of the unicorns. Initially, I wanted a bike with a 2-cylinder engine, because these types of engines develop more power, they are smoother, and they perform better in long distances at high speed. On the other hand, I did not want my motorcycle to have more than 165 kilos wet weight or curb weight, because I believe that weight is the single most important factor when it comes to off-road practicality. And one day I hope that the many manufacturers understand this, because right now we have a market filled with very powerful but very heavy adventure motorcycles. And even if we consider new bikes like the KTM 790 or the Yamaha T7, which are definitely steps in the right direction, they still present a curb weight above 200 kilos. And in my opinion, that is not a real game changer. They are still very heavy. Besides, my budget was really low, I needed something less expensive and that I could use off-road with, let's say, an healthy level of disregard. And that's when John, my colleague from the last video, told me that he was selling his XT660R. I was familiar with this model since I had ridden it before, and I knew that despite having a single-cylinder engine, it was one of the smoothest, quietest and sturdiest that I have ever tried. When you ride this bike on the road, it kind of feels like it has a cylinder and a half, if you know what I mean. The weight is okay, I guess. A lot of websites claim that the curb weight is around 182 kilos. Could be better, could be worse, not terrible, not great. But I was confident that with a few mods I could lower this value significantly. Besides, mechanically the bike is very simple and also the maintenance intervals are very far in between. And that suits a guy like me that does not like to fiddle with mechanics and repairs all the time. And so I was not thrilled about the weight, I was not thrilled about the engine, but since I was running out of options, this one felt like a really acceptable commitment. Before me, John had already done an amazing job to improve this motorcycle off-road readiness. He did most of the current upgrades and I just added a few more of my own. Besides the significant weight reduction, which we will measure in a few minutes using the scale, I would say that the most significant change was the front forks. We are using inverted 48mm white power forks from a KTM 450 EXC. And the front handles the off-road so well that I am now considering also upgrading the rear shock, because I feel that now that is the weakest link of the bike. Both rims are SMPro and the front hub is from Talon, and this setup is sturdier and more lightweight than the original. The navigation tower is very lightweight and it was homebrewed by João himself. And it serves the purpose of holding the front screen, which deflects the wind out of my chest and face and does an amazing job. It also has USB plugs to charge my devices and a simple holder for my cell phone or GPS or whatever I want. The fuel tank is a 23 liters aftermarket plastic tank and it has increased the range of the bike to almost 500 kilometers, and I couldn't be happier about it. The GPR Carbon exhausts were also a very fine choice. Not only they weigh only a fraction of the original exhausts, they also allow a little bit of extra airflow, which is very welcome in this model that is known for kind of stalling and stuttering at low revs, but also for off-road in general. For the sheer sake of saving weight, I also replaced the original acid battery for a lithium one, which is almost twice as powerful and weighs only 700 grams. Instead of the original XT decelerator, I now have a proper front braking system, salvaged from a KTM 450 EXC. I've also done a few other mods like the bigger pegs, the foldable mirrors, the foam grips, the hand guards, but those are minor details that I bet all of you have on your motorcycles as well. The motorcycle also has this luggage rack where I can fit this metallic top case, but last video I broke the subframe and I didn't fix the whole thing yet, so right now I cannot assemble this. I believe these are the most significant changes and upgrades that I've done to the bike. But before we proceed, let's actually measure the weight of the bike on a scale and see exactly how much of a weight saving we are dealing with here. This website claims the XT should weigh 181 kilos, wet. After all my mods, I expect it to be less than 170. The trick to weight the bike using a simple bathroom scale is to keep it completely leveled. And for that, we are going to use this book because it is exactly as thick as the scale I'm about to use. And then we will measure one wheel at a time. In the end, you just have to sum the values and you'll get the total weight of your bike. So, on one hand, I'm happy because I actually was able to take 15 kilos out of the bike, and it's still like 20 kilos lighter than the T7 or the KTM 790. On the other hand, it's almost 20 kilos heavier than I thought. Mixed feelings, but most of them are bad. Let's just move on to the next chapter and forget about this for now. This beauty is and probably will always be an undergoing project. Mainly because I'm always trying to figure out a way of improving the bike, especially to reduce the weight, but also because I usually damage it faster than I can repair it. To give you an idea, John sold me this bike only 6 months ago, basically in mint condition, and now just look at it. It's carved with eye-sorting scratches everywhere and fuel stains on the fuel tank. The bash plate looks like it was hit by several IEDs. My handguards look like they were mangled by pit bulls. The subframe cracked last video, but gladly I already fixed that. The GPR exhausts had burned rubber on them, and my saddlebags are missing rubber patches. So I had to switch the exhausts, so now I have the burned rubber on the inside, at least nobody can see now. Only one of my worthless auxiliary lights is working, my high beam is gone, the rattling and the cracking of my transmission kit is more audible than the engine, the wind deflector got shattered in 8 pieces some months ago and it's now held by cheap glue and forces unknown to science, my blinkers don't blink, my rear tail light is not working properly, so the bike is a mess and it needs some love. I will keep you posted and you should do the same. What type of upgrades do you have on your bike? Which kind of unicorns are you chasing? What is your dream bike? Please tell me that in the comments and like, subscribe, hit the bell button and see you next video.